when you get your MyEcon business, you now have an asset that can make you some cash. And so without having $1 million or $10,000 or $5,000, even $1,000, you can turn your MyEcon business into an asset that makes you cash, take that cash and make some more cash. So you created your money. See, money is created. It's not something that you have to get from somebody else. So that means everybody and anybody can be a millionaire. Now, why is that important? Because when you're trying to change your life, and you're doing that by helping other people change their life, if you don't have that basic belief, you're not going to do it, because somebody's going to say, well, yeah, but it just don't work. Well, there's no such thing as it doesn't work. The only issue is, are you thinking about it correctly, and are you going to make it work? Okay? When you get a MyEcon business, you got a tool that can make you money that can make you cash flow 5 ways. Number one, the government says if you have a business, you get tax advantages which can lower your taxes. Am I correct? That's one cash flow stream in it. Okay? But you also have a business that you can sell products and services and make commissions. That's 2 cash flow streams in it. By being around MyEcon associates, you're going to get this idea that it might make sense for you to minimize your expenses so you can have money to invest. Okay? In other words, in some environments, people will say, well, fake it till you make it. Anybody ever heard that foolishness? Okay. And there's some legitimacy to it, because people do that, don't they? Okay? It's foolishness to me, but it's legitimate to some people. Or some people say, you know, some people will get some money and they'll spend every dime they get to try to impress people into doing business with them. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. But in MyEcon, just by being around other folks and seeing people succeed in a certain way, you might be motivated and confident enough to say, you know what, if I got $1,000, I'm only going to spend $700 or $600 so I can invest $300. Because the idea of cash, asset cash, starts to mean something to you, doesn't it? So what would that do? That would allow you to minimize your expenses. In other words, you won't be afraid to minimize expenses. You won't be apologetic that you bought something less expensive. You'll be confident and proud and say, okay, you know, I put off buying a new car for 3 months or 6 months or a year or 18 months so I could get debt-free before I do it, or so I could invest money into my 401k or my investments. In other words, the idea of minimizing expenses, you wasn't afraid of. Because in some environments, people are afraid to say that they want to minimize expenses, aren't they? You ever been in that environment where the idea is status? And the idea is to spend all you can to impress? Which is, you know, there's legitimacy in that. People do that. Am I correct? But that's not our culture, okay? So the third way you're going to make money is to minimize expenses. So you got lower your taxes, commission checks, minimize expenses. The fourth way is to eliminate debt. And once you do that, you see, sometimes you have to be willing to make a decision that some people would call embarrassing. Okay? I remember over the last 7, 8, 10 years that, you know, Jeanette made the decision. She says, okay, I'm not going to buy a new car. Well, but she's a millionaire today because she ain't buy a new car. You see? And I'm sure she's had even family members, other people say, why don't you buy you a new car? But when you start thinking about, do I really want to buy a new car? I remember Donna drove her little white Volkswagen for a long time because she was getting rid of her debt. You see? And you got people in this city and in this country who are going to look at you and say, well, you a business person. Why you want to do that? And then you got to have enough knowledge to say, because I'm smart and I know how money works and I'm going to be a millionaire. And see, if you're willing to make that decision, and not follow. You see, we teach our kids, don't follow peer pressure, right? So are you going to be smart enough and tough enough not to follow peer pressure so you can reach your financial goals? See, it doesn't mean that you can't have what you want. It doesn't mean that you're not going to buy a lot of toys down the road. It just means that you're going to sacrifice enough so you can buy them the right way. See? And that's being smart. In other words, to me now, it may not be the way, but it is to me. To me, it's not being smart to allow society, tradition, to take advantage of you because of emotion. In other words, will you walk out front and say, well, I know what the tradition is saying. I know they're saying I'm supposed to do this or this or this because of all this tradition around me. But I'm going to make different decisions. I'm going to have me a home-based business. I'm going to learn how this financial stuff works. I'm going to lower my taxes. I'm going to start investing in something in 2014, even if it ain't but $25 a month or $50 a month. I'm going to start building me an asset. When you start your MyEcon business, you have now created an asset that can help you make cash 5 ways, right? Taxes, business income, that's commission checks, minimizing expenses, okay, that's the third one. Taking some of the money from those 3, knocking out some debt, right? Because you start to understand that high interest rate debt is bad, right? Okay? If you got a low interest rate on your home and you don't want to pay it off, okay, that's your business, you know? But high interest rate debt is definitely bad, isn't it? Okay, so that's 4. And then the 5th one is by investing. Okay? The 5th cash flow stream is investing. Now, I'm going to talk a few minutes about some traditional investments. And then I'm going to talk about the best investment on earth.